Yep, we're live. Finally.
Tell everybody we had technical difficulties, sorry to miss the prayer.
Yeah, there was nothing to see if they did dial in.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I've got an idea for the J6ers. They haven't tell everybody they really thought they were on the way to a Hamas protest. They got confused. They didn't mean to be a J6. They let them all
I
out.
can just hear now, the judge would say, let him go.
Aye.
All right. Come on now. I know I touched it on.
Little bit behind.
See, he's so busy posing for pictures, he can't keep up with his tech responsibilities.
I was thinking about tuna.
Oh, I meant to ask how'd you do? Or we're live, aren't we?
Bluetooth
No, we did
connected.
great. Tuna fishing was great.
Good.
Test. There you go. All right.
Hi, everybody.
Test number 2. Test number, the one that gets it. All right. So here we are, day 1,213 from January 6, 2021. It is May 3rd, 2024. And as always, start with the brief prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, as always, please watch over the families of the J6ers and help guide them through these processes as they are working their way on into the federal facilities and other places that they're going to, and give the ones that have just come out as well, and every other one that follows when they get their chance to finally be free again, give them the strength and courage and extra help that they need to get reacquainted with their lives and their families and their loved ones. In Jesus' name, watch over the children. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, yeah, some things going on for sure. I wanted to quickly hand things over to Cheryl in a second, because she's always got some great updates and so on. I wanted to say that I just, at the very last minute tonight, I went on to the NPR website, and it hadn't been updated. But then at the last second, I guess I refreshed it, and I got it as of today's date. So 1,370 total arrests through May 3rd. I want to just take a moment and read this. So this is the NPR website, and again, I tell everybody that this is a great place to get information on individuals, up-to-date current individuals, so up-to-date current information on individuals. So great place to go. But of course, they've got a little narrative, and it's worth reading. Little charts and graphs and things like that. The U.S. Supreme Court is also set to weigh arguments about the scope of a felony charge brought in more than 300 capital riot cases. Well, we're talking about the 1512C Supreme Court case, including the federal criminal case against Trump himself. NPR is tracking every federal criminal case stemming from that day's events. This database makes publicly available and searchable information on hundreds of cases, including alleged affiliation with extremist ideologies and past or present police or military experience. On January 6, 2021, supporters of then-President Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol, injuring 140 law enforcement officers, forcing a panicked evacuation of the nation's political leaders, and threatening the peaceful transfer of power. Wow, that's some reporting, right?
It's not the truth.
They've got that, yeah, right. 5 people died during or soon after the riot, and more than $2.9 million worth of damage was done to the Capitol. $2.9 million, which is nothing, even if that were true.
It's not.
Which is not.
1 million was the initial.
They didn't mention that the 5 people that died were Trump supporters. They left that part out.
Well, and they left out another one too. So there were 6 people actually that died. Rioters brought firearms, knives, hatchets, pepper spray, baseball bats, and other improvised weapons to the Capitol grounds, and prosecutors say many of those weapons were used to assault police. The Federal Bureau of Investigation considers the attack an act of domestic terrorism In response, the Department of Justice launched the largest criminal investigation in U.S. history. The largest, even bigger than our border crossings and everything else that's going on.
911.
The FBI continues to make arrests for charges stemming from the insurrection, though at a slower pace than in the earliest months of the investigation. The FBI has estimated that around 2,000 people took part in criminal acts on January 6. At the current pace of arrests, the government appears unlikely to charge all of those individuals before the statute of limitation lapses for many offenses on January 5th, 2026, according to an NPR analysis. So here's the list of new individuals that are arrested alphabetically. Michael Anderson from South Carolina. Michael Anderson was arrested April 29, 2024 in Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville's a nice town. Like it.
It is.
Knowingly entering or remaining, and so on, the usual 4 charges. I'm not going to go through them all. Benjamin Bowden, 26 years old from Orrington, Maine. Benjamin Bowden was arrested on May 3rd, 2024.
That's today.
Today. John Barry Chisholm, 35 years old from South Carolina. John Carolina. Same 4 charges. Michael Hennessy, Palm Harbor, Florida, was arrested on May 1st, 2024 in Palm Harbor, Florida. David Marshall, Jr., 57 years old, Alexandria, Virginia. David Marshall, Jr. was arrested on May 1st, 2024 in Alexandria, Virginia. He's got a few more significant charges, including assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers, assault by striking, beating, or wounding, and abiding, and aiding and abetting in such a crime, civil disorder, entering and remaining. Okay, so then it goes to the usual. Clay Norris, 48 years old, Canton, Ohio. Clay Norris was arrested on May 3rd, 2024 in Canton, Ohio. Maybe that's why it took a little while for them to update and refresh the list here today, because they had to get the current information in there.
Yep.
Scott Allen O'Brien, Ponder, Texas. Scott O'Brien was charged by information on April 25th, 2024. Plea agreement hearing and sentencing set for 6/11. So it sounds like he's not in custody. His charges are disorderly conduct in a Capitol building or grounds, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. That's about as low on the ladder as you can go to try to come up with something.
They had permits to be there.
Permits, right?
Exactly.
And another one, Donald Pin Wang, 69 years old, Los Angeles. Donald Pin Wang was arrested on May 1, 2024 in Hemet, California. Entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building, destruction of government property.
And I'll bet he knows exactly why he wanted to be there that day.
So, they're still picking them up 1 a day anyhow, something like that, almost. You got something you want to
Yes.
put out there?
These are the updates for the week. Matt Kroll was released April 29th, and he is on his way home, or is home to his wife and 3 children to Michigan. He was released early because he has a heart condition and he needs medical attention. We have upcoming J6 sentencings. Francis and Farad Azari is on May 21st at 12:30. Dominic Box Taki is May 23rd at 10 a.m. Chris Quaglin, May 24th at 2:30 p.m. John George Todd III, May 31st at 9:30 a.m. And we had recent sentencings this week. John Sullivan sentenced to 72 months on April 26th. Ryan Nichols was sentenced for 63 months on May 2nd with a $200,000 fine. $200,000 fine. Jack Whitten was sentenced for 57 months on May 2nd. We had a lot of relocations. Actually, there's a reunion going on in Philadelphia right now. There's 11 Brandon Fellows, Scott Miller, Israel Esterday, David Geeston, Matt DeSalva, Devin Rossman, and the 4 3%ers, which are Derek Kinnison, Tony Martinez, Ron Mealy, and Eric Warner. They're all in Philadelphia. A couple of relocations. Taylor Jonatakis is now in Oklahoma City. Ronald Maccabees in Rochester, Minnesota. Doug Wyatt is in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And as of yesterday, Reed Christensen was in Oklahoma City, but as of this afternoon, we got a letter from his wife saying that Reed is in Arkansas or on his way there. He will be in Forest City, FCI Low for the remainder of his sentence. Reed and I are asking family and friends to fast and pray for him this Sunday, May 5th. Reed will be submitting a compassionate release request through the Warden of Arkansas this week. The compassionate release states that if you are 65 years or older and have medical problems that can't be treated in prison, you can request a compassionate release. This goes through the warden, and if approved, goes through the director of the Bureau of Prisons. If it is approved by the director, they will request a judge to grant the compassionate release. Reed has told me that his body is getting weaker. He is in constant severe pain, even with medication. The prison is not equipped to help someone with recurring strokes. We are asking God to soften the hearts of all people concerned to grant Reed the compassionate release. Please pray and fast for Reed on May 5th. Would you be willing to ask your friends in church congregation to fast and pray too? All our love, Reed and Myra Christensen.
That's awesome.
And also, Reed's birthday is on May 20th. We could say happy birthday to him. I thought it was May 5th because that's what it says in the records, but that was corrected by his wife saying it's May 20th, so she must know.
So what's with the $200,000 fine, do you know?
That's what it said in the paper. I don't know why that was a high, I don't know.
All right, we don't know, but that's a big number.
Perhaps we have somebody watching this that can Google that for a minute and see if they can come up with it.
What was his name again? Mike.
Ryan Nichols, Nichols.
I don't have my whole list here, so.
He was sentenced to 63 months and $200,000 fine on May 2nd.
All right, perfect, thanks.
Feel like I'm on TV with 2 mics in front.
Yeah, well, we got
Holding the twins right
you got a lot of information right there, my goodness, well
A
done.
little high.
And how often do you update that? Is that a daily thing or just before these meetings? How often do you update that stuff?
I update it daily, and it goes into my monthly newsletter for the Northern Neck Patriots, and every day I update it. And the newsletter was
We just put it on the website.
it's on the website. Go to northernneckpatriots.org. You see the whole newsletter for May, which I'm going to be handing out or showing to people next week at the meeting on June 4th.
I think that should become our new favorite website on top of NPR, over NPR, right? Because all NPR is reporting on is the people being locked up and the charges, and they don't care anything more about it. As everybody knows, that's tuned into these podcasts, people in their lives and their stories. So I have one in a minute I want to read you.
And it's disappointing how, and NPR is just an example of how the lies of omission get propagated. Like we were just talking about a couple minutes ago about how, they mention a number of people that died, but they don't say specifically who it was. and it's just deceptive. That's my take.
Picked up a couple letters from Barry in the last week.
I'm on Core Links with him now.
With Barry, you finally connected with
Barry on Core Links, great, great. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. I did send him, I think I sent him the Fisher case, or a synopsis of it anyway, or something. So a lot of a long.
Right.
They have a fairly large character count on Core Links. Did you notice that? How large of something have you sent? 6 pages, 10 pages, whatever. Have you done anything very large?
No, there's a lot of characters that you could, maybe 2,000 words or something like that, but I haven't been writing a lot.
All right. Well, they're supposed to read that stuff, and I think if it's too long, they might just delete it. They might say, I'm not reading all this,
I think they're timed on their tablet or whatever, a response of 5 minutes or something.
I don't want to give the BOP credit for being smarter than they probably are, but if it was me having to filter through all those digital things, I wouldn't read them. I would have a computer do that. Just saying. So.
Yeah, well, maybe we can have AI prison guards going forward. So this is from the Gateway Pundit. This was May 1st this week. This is regarding Barry Ramey. J6 political prisoner Barry Ramey was sentenced to 5 years in prison for his participation on January 6th. And it tells a lot about his background. His fiance was interviewed, and she brings up a couple of problems that most people don't really think about. I know I hadn't really given it much thought before I saw this, and so we actually had a conversation around it. I'm writing this in hoping to bring under the microscope two damaging issues with J6ers currently in DOJ or BOP, that's Department of Justice, Bureau of Prison, custody, and them being labeled behind the scenes, which is affecting their treatment and where they are permitted to serve time. So focus on the labeling. We already know that J6ers are not being treated very well, but it's even worse than we thought. As I tell the story of my fiance, Barry Ramey, know that it's not a unique story because it's happening to all the men and women who are serving time for anything related to J6. First of all, the BOP has wrongfully labeled not only Barry, but a very large portion of J6ers with a label known as greatest severity. Greatest severity. What does that mean? It's a label that they code as a great threat to the community at large. It also means that with this label, J6ers' eligibility for serving time in a federal prison camp, which is the safest option available for serving incarcerated prison time in a federal prison camp, is eliminated due to the way the BOP score calculates the label, regardless of whether they, like Barry, have no criminal past. So by labeling, so the judges are getting them in every single way. They're throwing maximum sentences, and then they're making their incarceration the most harmful that it can be. Yes, sitting in federal prison camps as we speak are bank robbers, people who have committed violent crimes, and others convicted of terrible things. How is it that these people are allowed to serve time in prison camps, and J6 patriots are being designated with the label that places them in a higher security prison that holds convicted rapists, murderers, gang members, and others with a recurrent history of convictions? Their justification for this greatest severity label, as was told to Barry, is that it is not their charges, but their conduct on January 6th. Their conduct.
They were protesting this deal.
However, they are attempting to justify this egregious overreach by lumping them together, all the things that happened or even didn't happen the entire day of January 6th, into one report and applying all of it to J6ers, even if it had nothing to do with them, their charges, their location, etc. Desiree is absolutely right on that, because it's exactly what I was talking about with the narrative on the NPR website. They've created a story, and they're trying to, it's what they do with a lot of things, but they ain't gonna get it done here. So, as an example, Barry pre-sentencing report, it mentions the following things that have nothing to do with him. Property damage and vandalism is listed. Barry never damaged or vandalized anything. The breach inside the Capitol is listed. Barry never went inside. I did not know that. The initial breach is listed as in detail as if Barry had been there, even though the timestamp they say that Barry arrived 20 minutes after that had occurred. The conduct of another J6er, Ryan Samsel, is listed. Barry was nowhere near around Mr. Samsel and didn't even know him at the time. So what does one thing have to do with the other? It doesn't. I would guess Mr. Samsel's report is riddled with misstatements and untruths. To no fault of his own as well. Number 5, the entirely false statement claiming Barry threatened an FBI agent investigating his case, despite the fact those charges withheld evidence that proved Barry's innocence on this issue. So when you or anyone in the federal prison system read the pre-sentencing report for J6ers, it leads the reader to believe that their conduct was far worse than it was, as shown by the above things that have either nothing to do with Barry or were false accusations. But they are in the report as if they are true, and that is wrong. The second horrific and wrong label, and what many people believe to be illegal, is placed on not only Barry, but so many J6ers by the DOJ BOP is terrorists. There is a division of the BOP that focuses on counterterrorism. What seems to be their focus now is to monitor and punish them with more time while under the DOJ BOP custody. And this has been done in the shadows. They even told Barry they were monitoring my social media accounts. I was not at the Capitol on January 6th, nor have I ever been accused of this. I am a private citizen. I am not under BOP custody. So why would the counterterrorism unit under the BOP monitor my social media? Let's not forget that this DOJ will not even call cartels or Iran-backed proxy groups terrorists, but they're labeling J6ers this way. This is so dangerous. Call me naive, but I believe there are still some good people left in the DOJ BOP. I would agree with that. But as Edmund Burke said, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. This inappropriate torquing of the system behind the scenes causes one to ponder, if it's J6ers now, then what next? If doing nothing paves the way for evil to triumph, what then? Barry may have been charged with 2 assaults, the second which never happened, and while he is in the process of appeal while serving a 5-year sentence, the story that doesn't get told is the level of provocation that day, and some are saying entrapment. Imagine being among the crowd on January 6th, peacefully singing the national anthem like Barry was, only to be erratically barraged by tear gas, concussion grenades, rubber bullets, and witnessing a man get shot through his cheek with munitions. Was Barry wrong for reacting? He'll be the first to tell you he wishes he could have done things differently that day. Should Barry or any other J6er be labeled a terrorist? No. You'll never America. That's what terrorists yell. Barry's a good man who stands for the triumph of America, not the triumph of evil. With thanks, Desiree, aka Osprey Sensei, fiance to J6er Barry Ramey. Her true social handle is @Osprey_Sensei. Please consider donating any amount to help our family with this long road of covering Barry's existing expenses and monthly commissary. Do you have his Give, Send, Go handy? Desiree did an amazing job with that article, so
That was awesome.
thank you so much. I mean, we got to get that one spread around as far as we can. We'll get Barry's Give, Send, Go here in a bit.
$1 cent. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hello.
What's going on, Patriots? How are you today?
Doing great.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I wanted to say thank you so much, and I have no idea how you guys. Hold on one second. Let me just turn down the volume here. I just want to say, I don't know how you guys got done what you guys got done as quickly as you got it done, but thank you.
You're welcome. I guess you got it then, huh?
I believe so. We had a blowout a little bit. I quagged, as the guys call it, I quagged out on her a little bit. I basically said, listen, no one's donating, you know, there's no more money. I don't know how you spent as much money as you did already. I'm not debating the fact that you spent it, I'm just wondering how. I need a bill, I need this, I need that, and, you know, but it's expensive. I mean, she's flying in from Missouri, and it's absolutely disgusting, that I have to, you know, find a lawyer from Missouri that has enough, you know, cojones to stand up against this Biden regime. You know, it's disgusting. All these lawyers say that they will, and then they turn around and they're like, hey, you know, it would really help if you would cooperate or you know, sit down with those people. And I refuse to. No. You know who I'll sit down with? I'll sit down with the new January 6th committee, maybe, depending on who's there. But,
that would be.
I'm not sitting down with the FBI. I'm not sitting down with these people who rip my life apart, also based off of a lie,
Right.
just so they can have me sign a non-disclosure agreement or tell me this is what we want you to say. No, that's not happening.
Right.
People ruined my life for over 3 years. Absolutely ripped my life apart. You think I'm gonna? You think I'm gonna give them what they want now? Get out of here.
Exactly.
But thank you very much, because it's gonna be. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, there's 3 years worth of
Documents.
grievances and daily notes and everything else. It talks about court proceedings and exactly what happened. It talks about day-to-day life inside of Northern Neck Regional Jail, along with the DC Jail, Essex Jail. I don't think you guys have Essex.
Yes.
Yes, Essex was
But,
there.
Essex is there too. So Essex Jail. Strangely enough, when I was in the BOP, all of my notes disappeared from the BOP. And even though I sent them to my lawyer multiple times, both copies. But that's okay. It was only about a month and a half long. I might not have day-to-day what they gave me, but I have it in transcripts. And once we, you know, ask for all the transcripts and everything, we'll have those as well.
Hey, Chris, we also found Ralph.
Yeah.
We found Ralph. Do you remember Ralph?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Ralph, honestly.
Ralph the Roach.
Ralph
I
got
forgot
scanned.
about him.
We scanned him.
Yeah. So, oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot I was in there.
He gives a whole new meaning to flatbed scanning.
Yeah.
They said they were
Yeah.
hoping you didn't have a pet mouse.
We were hoping that we wouldn't find Mickey the Mouse, but,
Yeah, well, so the mouse, you know what's funny is it was, what's his face? Oh, I forgot that guy's name. He was a real a-hole, one of the guards. Eventually you guys will get to the guard who it literally jumps on his foot. The mouse is running over the trays. And the trays that they're giving us. And we're like, whoa, you can't feed us those trays. Like, there was a mouse that just literally was on top of the tray cart and running all over the trays. And they're like, either eat them or don't eat.
Wow.
And, yeah, you'll get that. You'll get to that point. That was a good one. I guess I'm not gonna really get to it. I had a whole bunch of stuff. I might do a double call here because we're gonna be a little bit light on people. We had like 9 people leave a couple days ago.
Yeah.
They're yanking us out after about a week now. I have a rant, that, since we started talking about this, it just didn't get to there, but it's, we talked about Biden's America. And you know, it's great when you can, as a right winger, I guess, even though, I mean, I'm definitely right wing, now, but, I'm more libertarian than anything, but it's great when you can take like a liberal's, what they've been saying for years and turn it around on them. And it's like Biden's America with the triple K, you know, and that's what I think that, Eminem did, way back when. But he's so brainwashed, you know, it's like, dude, listen, oh, the KKK, oh, you mean Democrat Party, what they started? Oh, you mean the CIA start? You know, if you really start going down those lines, it's, you know, you look at today and what's going on. I love what's going on at the campuses today.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we have talked about this. I'm sure we have. But I had a talk with, my mom was a teacher for like 35 years, something like that. Anywhere from 1st to 7th grade or 8th grade. So it was during her she liked 6th grade because you could still yell at the kids, and like be stern with them, but then at the same time, she found that it was one of the best grades to really develop a kid, and then you could start pushing them to a point where then you could start getting them ready actually for and this is 20 years ago, but you could get them ready for actually college at that, especially in that school district at 6th grade, because that's where you found out if they were talented and gifted and this and that and whatever, and you started them in that program, you know, or not that program, but I'm just on that wave of, okay, listen, 7th grade, 8th grade, going into high school, hey, they're better than this. You need to push them, talk to their next grade teacher. They're doing, you know, then they're doing 8th grade work in 7th grade, you know, then they're doing 9th grade work in 8th grade or high school work in 8th grade, you know what I mean? And because she had a few geniuses that went through there. But I spoke to one of her students, and very, very smart girl, very, very sheltered. I guess she found herself in college, which is just a scary thing. You know, she found out that she was a lesbian, which is fine, whatever, no big deal. Hey, fine, you're a lesbian. You know, but as an LGBTQW, whatever, activist now, she now became, and it was her and like 4 of her friends that we're on Facebook and we're going back and forth. And she's starting to tell me about, you know, quote, the Jews, and how, you know, America's on the wrong side of this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, I'm not debating the fact that, you know, every country has done evil things, right? I mean, America has, you know, Germany has, you know, China has.
Africa has.
Japan has, you know.
Still does.
Everyone has. But and still does. But the fact is that they are our allies, and you know, and it's not going to be good. And they're saying, well, eventually war is going to happen. I said, well, I hope not, because that's going to be the next world war. And the things that were coming out of their mouth were exactly what you're seeing here in these pro-Gaza arguments, and now, and oh, well, we're going to eventually, you know, we're going to take over the schools, and this is what we're learning in schools. But they were completely indoctrinated.
Yes,
And I'm like, I showed my mom the conversation, because I mean, you know me, I really liked the conversation. You know, I danced around it. I made sure that I didn't hurt anyone's feelings. So that it was an epic battle that went on for about four or 5 days. And then I showed my mom the conversation, and she's like, really, you really said this? I'm like, shut up, just keep on reading. And she's like, I was like, what about this? What about that? And she's like, I don't know. Like, these schools are crazy. Why do you think I got out when I did? I would have, like, your dad was still working. You know what I mean? Like, I got out because I wanted to get out, because I had my tenure and I absolutely refused to teach what they wanted to teach. But then all of my friends started retiring, and they would bring in these new teachers and they would tell them, no, this is the curriculum and the story. And I could teach how I wanted to teach, but at the end, my kids would be held back because, I'm not teaching, how they wanted or what they wanted, and even though I'm teaching the right stuff. So it's like, do I fill their heads with nonsense so they could pass the final at the end of the year, which is a statewide or statewide and school-wide final? Or do I just leave? I mean, I'm done. It stopped being fun. When you're having these talks with these teachers in the conference rooms, and she said, what are you talking about? That's not accurate. Oh, well, no, this is, I don't know if it's, and they would, I guess they would push her to the fact that, oh, you don't know what you're talking about anymore. This is what really happened. Y'all were fed a lie. So it's like, no, what you're being fed is like, and it showed it, and I saw it 20 years ago.
Yeah. So I just met a retired school principal locally here, and she was telling me she was happy to take early retirement and get away from all that crap, all that DEI crap that's going on. So how many good teachers have we lost because of this junk,
All the good ones.
Yeah, all of them, probably.
And the biggest thing is, how long is it going to take to fix it?
Yeah.
Generations.
Yeah.
Because they've been
God.
inching in and just ticking away, kind of like what the libs and the Dems do to the Second Amendment. And y'all, I don't know about y'all over here, right? But in Jersey, they've been picking at it for years. Now we're down to 10 round, max. We were at 15. Murphy got in and went right down to, and Chris Christie of all people vetoed the 15 down to 10. He vetoed it. And then he went out and Murphy went in and he immediately approved it. But I mean, they've been picking at our Second Amendment. They've been picking at our, I don't think Virginia's far behind New Jersey, honestly.
I don't either.
You look at Jersey 15 years ago and 10 years ago, and you would see Virginia in a lot of spaces. Because we still have serious red parts of Jersey that are still holding true, but we're starting to get, just overrun.
Yeah, we're geographically.
The one thing we do have,
geographically.
yeah, and I mean,
You have 1 minute remaining.
but it's disgusting at what's going on. But maybe I will call back, depending on if I have to stay. So I think one person just canceled. But we talked about the left's anti-police state, how they hate the police state now, and it's just hilarious and ironic. Not to quote Sarah McLachlan. Anyway, if anyone could please donate, that'd be great. I do desperately need lawyer bills. I'm trying to get this thing fought and trying to get my stipulated trial reversed and go back to trial. I do owe my lawyer. She's working, kind of, whatever right now. So it's givesendgo.com/persecutedpatriot. Also go to persecutedpatriot.com, and we will have an up-and-coming persecutedpatriot.net, which will take over the .com, and that's going to be.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
That'll be soon. He's trying to say.
Do you want to give that
Barry and
Yeah, Barry's.
Well, Barry's, just go to Give Some Go, and it's Barry Ramey. You can put in his number 97293-509. Christopher Quaglin is persecutedpatriot.com, and he needs money for his lawyers.
How you doing?
What else?
Uh-oh.
I can give a little update on Barry Ramey.
Don't want that red light flashing.
Yeah, regarding Barry Ramey, we were talking about earlier, I've been communicating with his fiancee quite a bit. In fact, she told me about some of the problems they were having in the Bureau of Prisons. And I didn't want to use it till I was clear she felt safe. Obviously she does though, because she discussed it with Gateway Pundit. But anyway, this terrorism task force, they form a list of people that they look at as dissidents. And of course, Barry's one of those. As you remember, one of our very first telecasts, our first vigils, Barry was speaking, and I asked him, I said, do you want me to publish some of this? If they find out, you're probably going to get punished. He said, oh, I'm sure I will, but I want you to publish it anyway. The next day, he was put in isolation, solitary confinement, very next day. A couple months later, he submitted an article to me, which I put on the front page. It was discussing the riot they had where he got slashed across the face. And part of that was singling out J6ers. They intentionally commingled them with gang members, hoping that there would be a confrontation, and sure enough, there was. But anyway, people like Barry, Ryan Samsel, who was mentioned earlier, he was also very outspoken, and I communicate quite a bit with him through various means. Another one would be Chris Quaglin. You can expect, and I pray to God I'm wrong, they're going to lean on him. They keep a list of all the people like Barry or Ryan Samsel or Quaglin, the outspoken ones, and they pile it on them every way they can. They dream up things, they lie about them. So these guys that do speak out, it takes a special kind of courage because they know they're going to be punished, and they are punished. And also, on the subject of Barry Ramey, he is appealing some of these charges that were made up. And hopefully this will come up at the next Patriots meeting. But I think some of these people that are fighting the fight, that are putting themselves out there, we may want to give them particular consideration as far as contributing financially. Because I've heard it, well, anyway, I'll drop that. We got a call coming in.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from yours truly, John. An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse it, your current balance is $82.93. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Telling.
Hello.
Oh, hello out there. How are we today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I got a face full of powdered donuts. So forgive me.
Powdered donuts?
Yeah, forgive me if I become silent for just a second. It's my dinner.
He chokes it down.
Your gums are stuck together. Is it that kind of donuts?
Yeah.
Those really sticky ones?
Pass one over.
They are kind of. I caught myself eating some at like 5 a.m. when I was finishing a book this morning. But they're so addictive, like, man, they're really good.
Good.
So your sentencing was changed, is that correct?
My sentencing changed?
Has it been changed? I thought it was May 10th, is it now May 31st?
The 26th.
If it became May 31st, I am completely unaware of it. As far as I'm concerned, it is still next Friday.
This is John Todd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's a.
Just trying to make sure we got the right customer and the right patient. You know, we don't want to give you the wrong drugs.
Well,
Right. If they changed it, I have not been informed yet.
Okay.
So that'd be
That's it.
a killer to me because I already told everybody it was for May 10th, and that means they're coming out. So
Yeah, I think it's changed.
that would suck. Yay, that is awesome. I'm glad I found that out.
You don't have anything.
So it's amazing that you had to call here to find out.
Find out, and that,
That's-
So it's May 31st now.
I believe so. I could check on that.
You can look at it now, right? Somebody can look it up.
Yeah.
Maurice can look it up. We'll look it up right now. How about that? Real-time research for you here at the Northern Neck Patriots.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll look it up. We'll look it up. Well, good.
He's talking.
So,
Great news.
yeah, so what are you all talking about in there as far as what's happening in the news and so on? Anything
Well,
on your mind?
we commend all those frat boys for, for knocking out some Antifa people and taking down that.
That was
flag and
nice.
Putting ours back up. They put like a Palestinian flag or Israel flag or something, or I don't. They put on something that wasn't an American flag. I know that.
Right, and then I heard,
Palestinian flag, yeah.
yeah, and then they took it down, but they also cut the lanyard or the rope, so you couldn't put the American one back up.
So I was listening to this report on the way here. So what I heard.
I thought one frat house in UCLA or UNC, one of those two, I believe, the frat boys put it back up. And I could be wrong.
That's happened
So
3 or 4 times.
the story that I was hearing on the way here today was that security had cut the lanyards on 4 Palestinian flags, and after that, the frat boys went and hung up a flag, an American flag, large enough to cover the front of a building.
Okay. Either way, I'm proud to say those guys deserve a huge wager.
Right, and same with the college administrations that said no, heck no. The safety of all students comes before the interest of a few radical, organized nutcases, right? So that's a very positive thing.
You
So they're
mean,
starting to pull their heads out of their rectums.
Some are. Some have them out there, but some don't. I mean, that's the whole thing. We were talking about education with Chris a minute ago. It's just why do people even go to college anymore? It's almost unnecessary.
why are their parents paying for it?
I prefer to trade over that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that got out and to the rude awakening of being oversold a bill of goods. There's no jobs for some of it, and the jobs that they do have are menial and boring and unfulfilling. A lot of miserable people out there. That explains the people that want to, go against Trump, I guess. What do you guys think?
We just did a front page article. 60% of recent college graduates are not working college level jobs. 60%. So, also, the reason there's so much confusion on these college reactions, there have been 3 of them today, and the most recent one in LSU, there were so many students chanting USA that the Hamas supporters basically got run off campus, and it looks like it's accelerating. So thank God there are still some patriotic young people out there.
Yep. John, do you know who that is talking?
I wish. I do not.
That's John Haynes, who's the editor of the Northern Neck Sentinel newspaper that writes about you guys all the time. And so you're getting to hear it right from the source, man.
That is awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to hear your voice. It's deep and very.
very authoritative.
Yeah, but he's got a face for radio, you know what I mean? He's got, that's why he's a newspaper article instead of an announcer, right?
Correct.
He's got the face for radio and the voice for newspapers.
Hey, when I was born, I was
For radio and a voice for newspapers.
When I was born, I was so ugly, the doctor slapped my mother. In fact, I didn't have a birth certificate, I had an accident report.
That's sad.
An accident report.
That's good.
Oh my, yeah, yeah, we have some fun out here.
Hey, we're having some in here today.
Good, good.
Somebody spiked the donuts.
It's ready to be 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. rack coming up. You know, we're gonna make a cheesecake for tonight.
That sounds good. Sounds good.
It's got a little bit of jalapeno in it, but you know.
That sounds good. I could do that.
It really is. A lot of guys will like this stuff is stuff you can make on the outside, and it will do like yeah.
Well, there you go. I heard somebody was working on a cookbook of some sort. Is that true?
It is. It's not me because I'm not good with books other than reading them really quick.
Hey, John?
I am 14 books out of my 15 book goal.
Nice.
Before sentencing.
Hey, John,
But that's now going to change to 20 books. Yes.
I have the court calendar in front of me, and it says you have your judge is Judge Howell, is that correct? May
Correct.
31st at 9:30 a.m. in courtroom 26A.
So you confirm May 31st at what time?
9:30.
I wish they would have let me know that sooner, so standing in the gap could have had my mom come out here
Right.
during my actual sentencing, because now she's going to come out just to visit and not see my sentence.
Yeah.
But, hey, thank you, DC Court. You guys rule.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
So May 31st, I go to sentencing at 9 a.m. 30, okay.
Why didn't you
Try
write
not to
on
miss it.
John?
Thank you so much. Oh, I mean, if I miss it, it's okay with me. They'll just hold on to it even longer.
That'll work.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's wonderful how they do that.
I love these turkeys.
I think it's amazing that everybody in the world gets to know about it except for the guy that's being sentenced.
Yeah, that's,
I think it was just updated.
I really wish it could be like, no, I don't want to change my sentencing, because I would go right back and be like, hey, keep my sentencing on May fucking 10th so my family could show up, talk part of my language.
See, that's
So
the
my
plan
family
that
could
you were
show
talking
up.
about. That's exactly the plan you were talking about a couple weeks ago.
I didn't want to change for that purpose.
You know, if you tell them you'd like to sleep on a concrete slab, they'll give you a bed.
Yes. Man. Prosecution, you guys are definitely the most heinous people I've ever dealt with. And I've dealt with some pretty heinous people. You guys top the icing on the cake.
They're on a mission, John. They're on a mission to make the worst out of the situation for every one of you.
I wonder how they sleep.
I'll tell you part of it too. They know they're losing the election, and a lot of this is
they're gonna be
vengeance.
cooked.
They want to get their last licks in.
Well, they better get them in good.
Yeah. They're probably going to try and, what's it called, enhance me and stuff too, which, I mean, just shows you how bad the militias were coming after people just because they're not cowering to them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It won't be long till we're coming after them.
I think they should be prosecuted. Exactly.
Yeah, you know, I thought that something was positive. I saw an article in Epic Times today, unrelated to J6, but these protesters that are protesting in these well-coordinated events all across the country, the people that are organizing that stuff should be brought up on RICO charges. right?
At a minimum.
This is.
They're looking at that, at the conspiracy.
Yep, it's conspiracy
I
to
mean,
plan to do something like that, to commit critical criminal acts. And then the acts themselves could be,
It goes all the way to the White House.
I think if you look at the whole picture,
The racketeering.
it's been an ongoing
putting a bunch of money
insurrection
into
for
something.
years.
Absolutely.
what was that?
And yet, none of us have been charged with insurrection. I hope the prosecution will come and add an insurrection charge for me now. That would make my day.
Yep, indeed.
That's, yeah, you know, this is like a science fiction movie. A dystopian
Larry
science.
Disney, please come at me with insurrection charges.
The phone was
So
getting
at
too hot.
least somebody in this whole thing could be charged with insurrection. Other than that, you guys are
gotta
just
plug
playing
it
a
in.
game that
This
is
is so
dumb
much
as hell, because you guys are salty that you were called out and you realized the people aren't putting up with stuff anymore.
I'm still waiting
And now you're
for,
messing with people's lives.
they have been. Yes, sir. Just aggravating. More than aggravating. I guess everybody's got a line.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Hey, so John, did you say your parents are coming in and when?
My mom was gonna be coming in, this coming Wednesday or Thursday, I believe. And, so I had tried to set up a visitation, for like a 2-hour visit, but they said that they only do them every 30 days. Prior to this, I was told it was every 21 days.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's
So my mom was supposed to come stand in the gap and prove to her, and she was supposed to leave out on Sunday. But yeah, that's your
Wow.
now. They just changed my sentence to May 31st, 9:30 a.m.
wow.
yeah,
And they didn't bother to tell you about it.
yeah, he's telling
No,
us.
that's, which,
You have 1 minute remaining.
no, it just sounds like, yo, look, you got time. Now I gotta see if there's something standing in the gap can do to change the itinerary or something.
Yeah, they probably can, you know, let them know.
Yeah.
For sure, and they can confirm what Cheryl found too, but she got it right off the website.
Yeah.
It might work out.
It's one of them great old days today.
Yeah, it'll work out, man.
I was excited for this too. I'm being honest.
Well, I bet. Yeah. Well, it'll get there soon enough.
Well, you know, time might be on your side too, John, because some judges have gone back and enlightened their sentencing, their previous sentencing, because of some of the recent disclosures. So with all the stuff coming out of these congressional committees, with a little bit of luck, there may be some.
Thank you for
exculpatory
using
evidence.
Global Telling.
All right. If you want to replicate who that was and his GiveSendGo and all that within the mic, that'd be awesome.
Is that John who?
That was John George Todd III,
Okay,
the guy with 3 first names.
okay.
His sentencing was originally May 10th, and I checked on it, and it's now rescheduled to May 31st at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, okay.
And his GiveSendGo is John George Todd, number 388351 is his booking number.
Wow.
That's aggravating. There's just no common decency anymore.
So when did they make the change? I mean, do you have any idea?
I just checked on it.
No, we
today.
just know we know the date that's published, we don't know when they changed it.
Does anyone think this is not intentional?
I'm
they
certain
do
it
it on
is,
purpose.
yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
Well, it's, yeah, I guess you're right, John. I mean, I would give them
opportunity to maybe put it into the incompetence bucket, you know, not really caring about the ramifications of some decision of somebody who's going to take off that day or whatever the reason is that they make the change. Do they do it just to mess with these guys? Boy, it seems like there's some of that going on.
The motive may be independent of any larger plan, because unfortunately, my stepdaughter lives with a guy who retired as a BOP guard, and he's not a good person. He's the stepdad, and he's not a good person at all. Others that I bumped into in life, they weren't great people either. But that doesn't mean they're all bad.
They don't get the best and brightest.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0.
Good
To
ask,
refuse
because
this
you never
call,
know.
hang up or press 1. Hello, this is a prepaid call from
I heard a voice real low.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0.
Had to get my fingers
Your
ready
current
to
balance
press this
is $81.25. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, who's there?
Hey, how's it going? It's Joseph.
Joseph. Hey, this is Tom. What's your last name, Joseph?
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson.
Hutchison, got it. What's going on tonight?
Tonight, we're gonna make some redneck egg rolls. We got spades going on. So it's gonna be a good little fun night tonight. Think we can stay out till 3 a.m.
That's what someone else said. So it's at 3 a.m. So where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Florida.
Florida. So is that have anything to do with the redneck egg rolls, or is that like your personal thing, or you all just came up with something in there?
They're actually got them at Sunny's. So if you guys got a Sunny's beside you, they serve them at Sunny's. But we just got brisket on our commissary, and we got some coleslaw today in our lunches.
Okay.
So we're gonna be able to just cook them up with tortillas and butter and put them in the microwave, a little bit of ranch, cheese, barbecue sauce, and it'll be pretty good, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds good. That sounds pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And cheesecake for dessert.
And cheesecake for dessert. Yeah, no, the old Scooter, he loves making that. So.
That's what they were talking about.
You guys have turned DC jail into the Hyatt Regency.
Oh yeah, we're trying. It's crazy that these guys have been living off tuna fish for 3 years. That's just tuna fish, really, and some mackerel and whatnot. So I'm glad they got us some chicken and roast beef and stuff on there now. Enough complaining, they finally got the wheels turning, I guess.
Well, good. You guys are known for something, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, what you guys gonna be eating tonight? You eating anything good?
I'm gonna be eating some fresh tuna that I caught on Wednesday, man. So, yeah, good food.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Tacos.
Where you catch that out at?
Out of North Carolina, out of Nag's Head.
Okay.
Yep. If you never done something like that, put it on your bucket list, because it's a whole different experience. It's really wild to go out on the ocean like that.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. We did a deep sea charter one time, and we just got a bunch of little, I don't remember what we caught a bunch of, but it's just a bunch of little small fish, nothing too big. But we had enough to eat, and that's all that matters. I'm a big on eating, so.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I enjoy catching and eating. I'm not a release guy, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's it here too. Otherwise, I'll leave them alone, you know? Why do I want to mess with them if I'm just going to put them back? I mean, I know some people think that's sporting, but I don't really. So.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, no. As I got a buddy, he was actually also arrested for January 6th. He just got out of jail. Praise the Lord. That's what he did. He fished every single day. And I go, you bring anything home with you? He's like, oh, no, we throw it all back. You know, it's just crazy.
Right.
But,
Yeah, that ain't good.
anywho, I was actually talk to y'all about this book if y'all ain't never read it. It's called The Light and the Glory.
All right.
We'll write it down here.
The light and the glory.
God's Plan for America. Yeah. And I think it was written like 30 years ago, but they just revised it back in like 2009. And so yeah, no, it's a pretty awesome book. It's all about the Pilgrims coming over, Christopher Columbus coming over, and just how they were led by God to come to America and establish this nation that we have, and how we shouldn't be giving it up. And it's crazy that like, the way the Pilgrims thought when they first came over here. They were under great religious persecution,
Right.
and they wanted to be free. They wanted to be able to worship God the way they saw fit. And it dives deep into that, which is awesome. Some of the only things I saw here some faces in here.
That's really interesting because it's part of the history that they're trying to erase. I mean, it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are currently as an individual, but the reality is those pilgrims and the others were escaping religious persecution, and they were willing to risk their lives in the wilderness to get it. So people.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
You keep going, but yeah, no, a lot of them died, which is
Right.
and they just were not willing to leave.
Yeah.
And so here's like a little excerpt from one of their diaries, I think it was. It says, "And it was answered that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties and must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. It was granted that the dangers were great, but not desperate, and the difficulties were many, but not invincible. And all of them, through the help of God, by fortitude and patience, might either be borne or overcome. But their condition was not ordinary. Their ends were good and honorable. Their calling lawful and urgent. Therefore, they might accept the blessing of God in the proceeding. Yea, though they should lose their lives in this action, yet they might comfort in the same, and their endeavors would be honorable." And that's kind of says it all, that these men, they came over here for a just cause, and they believed God was in it. And they weren't willing to give it up for anything. And knowing that they might die, it was worth it because they believed they were within the will of God. And I think that's what we got to find, nowadays. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
They're telling me I need to be talking into this mic more. We're messing with me on the table. It's very inspirational. To me, it's very reminiscent of what we're kind of going through. We're in a time that's very difficult. We have to just lean on the Lord and cling to Him. And that's kind of what I can get from it anyway. It's a very similar situation that we need to stand with fortitude and with patience and endure with long suffering the challenges we have laid before us because we know God's in it. And if God's in it, then it doesn't matter.
And Joseph, that's the thing that they didn't count on either. That's the big glaring thing they didn't count on, that you guys, that you men and the few women, majority of you are God-fearing individuals, and you have strength and courage from that is a very deep well.
They can't even comprehend it.
And it's a hugely deep well that you draw from, and that's what's going to power you through this, and that's what's not going to allow this to be swept under the rug.
That's right.
Amen. And that's the foundation we need to get back to, is just relying on the Lord. In this nation, he talks about England, where he came from, that they had become callous to the gospel. you know, that they wouldn't turn back to Jesus because they had heard it their whole lives and they had already turned away from it. And I hope America's not there yet. I hope that we have a generation of men and women that are just willing to rise up and willing to stand for what's right and true, and willing to, you know, live and die on God's promise. So yeah, that's just, you know, it's an amazing book. If you guys haven't read it, I'd recommend getting it. And it goes from Columbus all the way to our founding fathers. So
It's going on the list, my friend.
yeah, I guess there's another book because this book one, so they must have another book too on America. God's plan after our founding fathers, you know, set it up for them. Man, so any good news out there today? Any good things and good been happening? We have just Fox News, which is basically liberal news anyway, so we don't ever get to hear anything good in here.
Yeah, this is John Haynes is going to tell you some news. John Haynes, if you haven't met him.
Yeah, Joseph? You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were asking about good news.
I'm here.
There's been quite a bit, really. I don't know how much you can follow the congressional hearings, but a lot of the information is coming out now about J6, and they're crafting a criminal conspiracy charge to level. The coordination, they now know, began back in the Obama administration in late 2015, and has been ongoing since among all the major agencies. And all of this is going to come out, and of course you're already familiar with the Fisher situation, I'm sure, and it looks like the early questions from the Supreme Court shows they're highly skeptical. And of course, as you know, this is going to affect over 300 of your cases. So I think there is a lot of good news. I'm sure you're aware of all the young people now starting to rise up in the campuses against these pro-Hamas groups. And I think there's a growing sense of awareness in the public, growing every day. In fact, I just brought an article with me from the newest Epoch Times, and there's actually a picture, and Tom, who you've been talking to, is in that picture. As you know, the Northern Neck Patriots have been very active in this movement, and there are a lot of groups like us. So I just want you to take heart. I know your Christianity is sustaining you there, but there are a lot of Christians outside too, and we're praying for you, and we're doing everything we can to bring you back among us. So just rest assured, we will never stop, we will never cease, we will never desist, and we will keep going as long as it takes. We'll be there for you.
Well said, John. Well said.
Gotcha.
So that story about the flags?
Yeah.
That story about the flags, apparently it was at UNC Chapel Hill, where there was a bunch of protesters there protesting, you know, they're pro-Hamas protesters. They were getting ready to throw the American flag on the ground, and a bunch of male students from the same fraternity that the protesters were jumped in and saved the flag from ever touching the ground, and apparently they're now being viewed as heroes.
It's about time.
About time. That's right.
You know, I did read about that this morning. I was pretty happy to hear that. And they had some, I guess some girl was there too, helping out. They had interviewed her with Fox, and she said, you know, it was the most patriotic day of her life. And she said she was, you know, even though they were throwing stuff at her, and you know, people they were throwing rocks, they said, and if not, people were getting hit in the face. She said she would live and die out for that. She said she would give up everything to make sure that flag didn't hit the floor and it got put back up. You know, she's like, I can't believe that they thought they were going to take the American flag down and raise a Palestinian flag. And I was pretty happy to hear there was some young people out there still standing for what was right. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, Joseph, it was just announced last night that, what is his name, John Rich, the famous music country star? I think it's John Rich. Yeah. He announced last night that he's going to hold a fundraiser in honor of those fraternity boys. And Lee Atwood, who is the author of my favorite song, has already volunteered. They started to give Sengo, and in one day they've gathered over $400,000. And they said that several other artists have already volunteered to perform free of charge, and they're going to raise millions of dollars for this fraternity to be used for patriotic causes. So the fire has been lit, and it's spreading rapidly. Yeah, that was just last night.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I mean, it takes a lot of support to raise that much money. So, it's good that the people are back in freedom lovers. That's for sure.
You have 1 minute remaining.
There she is.
Yeah,
but,
there she is.
we're really happy with all the support we get here too, and we thank you all for it. And God bless y'all, and stay strong and fight the good fight. That's for sure.
Well, we appreciate talking with you. Thanks so much for calling in, and God bless you, Joseph. Have a good rest of the week.
Yeah, man. You too. Enjoy that. I think you said tuna, right? That you caught.
Yes, indeed. Yep. We'll do it.
All right, man.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
So, a week or so ago, update from.
So I'll go ahead and get this update from Fight Voter Fraud. Those folks up there in Connecticut talking about a case that involves several thousands of votes that they cracked open and they're fighting in court now. And apparently we're going to get a ruling, and it looks like the laws were already there. They don't have to make anything up. All the judge has to do is follow the law, and these people are going to prison up there in Connecticut. Oh, by the way, it's a 2020 election, and it would have changed Connecticut to a different color.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine.
Might see New York change colors the way it looks.
Well, I follow J. Christian Adams in the Public Interest Legal Foundation, and they've been doing a lot of work. Some of the members of the Patriots might recall J. Christian came and spoke to us a year and a half ago, something like that. And yeah, they've been making some wins. I don't know why it's not opening right now. No, password issues again. Never mind.
They've been making some progress all over the country.
They have. Where was it? Oh, in Georgia, as a matter of fact. There's a case down there with over 20,000 votes that are hanging in the breeze. Again, for the 2020 election.
Yeah, and I think it's Pennsylvania where they just they struck down taking absentee votes that are not dated before the cutoff.
Right.
And this is happening incrementally across the whole country. Every month, 1 or 2 states will have a flip. So if we can keep that momentum, it could have a profound effect on the next election.
I think there's plenty of material out there to feed that momentum. Seriously. There's things being discovered in areas that have never passed most people's radar. They would never think that some county in Kentucky actually had a fraud case going. But it's happening everywhere in small pieces.
But the
Wow.
thing is, they've been cheating for years.
Right.
And we kind of put up with it. We knew that they were dirty voter rolls, but nobody really pushed it because quite often we could still win because we were just so much more popular. Well, what happened in 2020 when the Florida results came in mid-evening, they realized that the normal amount of cheating wasn't going to work.
Yep.
And they changed their algorithm.
Yep.
Now, when they changed it, they now have some internal discussions where they admit we're probably going to get caught if we do this. And they decided to do it anyway because they figured they could just get away with it with the media covering. Well, what happened? The media did slow it down, but they couldn't stop it. And now it's reached critical mass. And even some of the left-wing rags like the Washington Post and New York Times are now starting to rat out their buddies. So when you see the New York Times turning on the left, you know better days are ahead.
Well, the ship's sinking.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing is when the rats go cannibalistic, then you know that the end is And it's gonna get fiery before we get to the other side of it, because it's like you were saying earlier, they all know they're going down.
Well, the whistleblowers are getting braver.
Even if they do work for Boeing.
Yeah. Which is a dangerous thing, by the way.
Oh, my Lord.
Stay away from Boeing, right? Gosh.
Yeah.
We're laughing about that, but that's just sickening.
And you gotta wonder why the same two guys had the same law firm representing them for their whistleblowing actions. You would think that they would diversify a little bit. One of them might get a different attorney, but no, they use the same law firm. That's incredible. I wonder how these things happen. It's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. Just because of math. Math doesn't support coincidences.
Well, unless the attorney's a specialist.
Well, if he's a specialist, he's doing a darn good job at being that specialty. I don't know. I'm not trying to say that the attorney had anything to do with it, but it just strikes me as odd that two whistleblowers from Boeing had the same law firm representing them, and now they're both gone.
Go back to the Public Interest Legal Foundation for a second. One of the things they're doing is they're fighting in the courts in Michigan to have more than 25,000 deceased registrants removed from the voter roll before the 2024 election. It's in Michigan.
I believe they're all moving to Chicago, though.
And they all voted from the dead.
Wisconsin, in response to PLF's complaint with the Wisconsin Elections Commission, Green Bay City Clerk Celestine Jeffries admits in her legal filing that she has not been following a Wisconsin election law put into place to find people who abuse the same-day voter registration process.
Yeah, she just chose not to do it. She admitted it. No, I just decided not to.
The National Voter Registration Act requires that states make voter rolls available to the public at a reasonable cost. When the law was passed in 1993, Congress gave exemption to 6 states. This week, Public Interest Legal Foundation filed 2 lawsuits in Minnesota and Wisconsin challenging these states' special exemptions from election transparency. No special exemption should allow certain election officials to hide documents relating to their mistakes and voter list maintenance activities. Yeah, they're all over it. I mean, he's a tiger on it.
Which reminds me, we as the Northern Neck Patriots and other groups, anybody who's listening to this telecast, we need to get copies of the voter rolls. I don't think they're very expensive. Last time I checked, they were, I believe it was less than $100 for a large locality. So depending on where you live, it's probably a lot less. But the big key with this is not only dirty votes, but low propensity voters.
Exactly.
That's where the harvesting comes in. And that's what the left's done for decades. They get people who aren't really interested in voting. But if you go out to their house and give them a ballot, they'll vote, and they'll probably vote the way you suggest. So
just to get you to go away.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest changing things or destroying ballots like the left does, but there's nothing wrong with trying to convince people who don't care the right way to vote. In a perverse way, you're actually helping them whether they know it or not. But again, I'd stay within the rules, but that's something we need to do as an organization. We need to get a copy of the voter rolls.
I think it's a good one.
Okay.
And I think county registrars, at least, I may be overstretching just a little bit, but I'm fairly certain, knowing the people that work at the registrar's office in Northumberland County, they'd be happy to give it to you.
Well, just
Really?
We're not going to send our treasurer into to Richmond County, however. So go ahead.
No. One thing I think you should know, just to show you how deep this goes, well, I'll tell you after this call, but it is important.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $79.57. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
James.
Thank you. How's it going, Tom?
Hey,
Listen, I apologize if I'm a little thrown off. I had my laundry just stolen. I didn't have all my stuff in there, and it wasn't like, it was white. those personal life. So I'm missing, you know, I cleaned it, so it's not all my stuff. I've already washed some stuff, but, you know, it kind of sucks. I'm going to have to, you know, write some grievances to get it done. So
Well-
a little thrown off. I just, you know, they just brought the laundry back. Mine wasn't there.
So what
But,
happened?
how are you, Tom? What's going on?
Hey, we're doing good. So what happens there? I mean, you eventually have to go through the grievance process to the point where they finally bring it to you or replace it, or do you even know?
Yeah, so I think, like, you know, having been in jail for almost 28 months now, I think the most efficient way to do this is to kind of already have the answer ready. So they give you new wipes. They're supposed to once every 90 days, but they don't bring them to you unless you actually ask. They might make it, you know, if you ask, they'll bring it to you, but it takes a little bit. But I'm just going to say, look, my bag was missing, and one other guy's bag was missing. I'm going to say, look, just go down, here's my size. Can you go down to the storeroom where you keep the new clothes that people can get every 90 days? And I think that the issue people when they first get in, okay, look, can you just go down to that room and bring me, you know, 3 new shirts, 3 new pants, 3 new underwear, and, you know, 3 new socks. I think, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get it done quick. I think you just make it simple for them, you know, just like, can you do this? This happens. Kind of. I think if I just farmed them the problem, I would get nowhere because they wouldn't even. Someone would have to come up with that idea to, like someone would have to come up with the idea to solve it that way. And like the grievance process wouldn't work. Like you kind of got to be informal about this one and just you know, ask one of the guards. But some of the guards here are fairly nice. It's not like Northern Neck. I mean, at Northern Neck you could not, like this would be an issue. You were SOL at Northern Neck. Like you lost your wife, they're gonna have to just build it up again and buy them. There's no chance of getting any resolution unless you want to like file, you know, get your lawyer, borderline get your lawyer involved. But just that's one of the many factors in Northern Neck that was terrible. And it's funny because I think about it often, still to this day. And as my sentencing gets closer, which is right now at June 13th, so of course I went to trial. You know, I thought I could have done even better, but it went great, you know, as far as January 6ers went, you know, I beat the biggest charge. And I'm waiting sentencing, and I've been in for 28 months. So that's as of now in June. But as that gets closer and closer, I just think about the whole ride and, you know, how it's nice to be in a facility that so it has its faults as much, you know. I mean, it's just like after Northern Neck, any place looks good, you know, like that place was such hell. And I was saying on the DC visit last night, like, there's nowhere I could be where treatment would surprise me after Northern Neck. I mean, guards, you know, they beat up guys, they take guys off camera, they beat them up. I remember once I was like woken up at midnight, they strip searched a bunch of us, and then they left me in a cell for over an hour, and handcuffed in a cell for over an hour. And like, you know, the guard later admitted, and I couldn't prove this, but Tom, he admitted in front of other people, oh yeah, you know, we were just doing that to mess with you. So I wish they don't wear, you know, body cameras there, so it would have been nice. But he probably would have had the foresight not to put his camera on. But and another bad part about that is not just how bad it is to be left in a cell for an hour, but then the other inmates, you know, they're wondering what you're doing and like if you're snitching or something like that. So it adds a whole nother.
Oh gosh.
It was bad on multiple levels.
Yep.
Gosh, I never even thought about that.
Well, they encourage that perception too.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. It gets back to the
probably why
mentality
they're
behind the
doing it.
labeling discussion.
Right, yeah, so on multiple levels, and that's why, you know, I was beloved by the other inmates, I dare say, and a lot of the pods, so I did all right on that front, so the inmates knew I wasn't snitching, but, you know, it could have been a problem, you know, it really could have been. But yeah, they called me Jake Hicks over there. It's actually a funny story behind that. My bunkmate, his name was J5, and we were about to play poker. I was finally getting the poker game, which I would spend the next, like, I must have put in 1,000 hours of poker. And I'm really good now, so at least, you know, it's feel like I got out of jail. But it was like the first time I was playing poker, and my bunkmate's name was J5, and he was a little short dude from Virginia area, of course, and he kind of took me under his wing a little bit, you know. Pretty new to jail. I think I've only been in for like a month or more. And they actually invited me up to where the cool kids were. It's kind of a big deal that I was up there. They had like, they said they eyed me out when I came in, and like, they all agreed. It was like a group of friends, but they all agreed to give me the invite. So, well, yeah, he's like, so there was, obviously my last name is Grant, and there was this other inmate named Gant that would play poker. So this other guy was trying to write names down. He goes, "You messed me up with this Grant crap." So I had to pick a new name. And, you know, obviously I'm a J6er, and my bunkmate was J5, and, you know, he's a very short guy. He's probably like 5'1". So I'm taller than him. You know, he's about 5 feet tall, and I'm like about 6 feet tall. So it worked on so many levels. It's such a good nickname. You know, the J6er, he was J5, I was J6. He's 5 feet tall, I'm like 6. It was so good.
Oh, fun.
So I became J6 after that, and my whole time throughout Northern Neck, I rocked that name. But, so yeah, that's the story of it. But
That's funny.
cute.
That's awesome. That is just
yeah,
awesome.
I grew my hair out since then. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and then of course here in Northern Neck, I've gone more as Justin. I've been called the Justin Bieber of January 6th here by one of the general population, I think. So I've been more Bieber during my time here in DC. But
Well, I'm sorry,
yeah, no,
sorry to hear that for
but
you.
yeah, so you know, I look back on my whole run, and that's, you know, it's gonna be something, Tom, that I bring up to the judge. Is you know, I spent over a year in Northern Neck too, so I'm going to tell the judge, Tom, that, you know, I went through 13 months of, you know, terrible treatment at that facility. And, yeah, it's not lost on me. And, you know, I was talking to my mom yesterday, and, you know, she remembers how bad it was. And my parents, it's funny, my parents always say, that time, like, I'll say, like, yeah, you know, Northern Neck was real bad. I'm glad to be here. And my parents will say, yeah, I know. Like they know too, and it's just weird because I'm like, you weren't there, but I don't know if it's, maybe they like heard it through my voice or something, or just to tell how awful it was. But it's like they knew too. I don't know.
So
yeah.
you're a good poker player, huh?
Oh yeah. I'm so the way they do it in Northern Neck is kind of dumb, but I've seen enough hands and I know when to go in. But what we do is we deal 5 cards like Texas Hold'em, but they deal all the cards in the deck. So you'll have like 7 cards. So you're going to get a pair of something, and, you know, ideally you want to have 2 aces. And they have rules against, you know, if you dealt 3, you know, it was useless if you had 3 cards. Unless a flush, you know, was dealt on one of the hands. So, but yeah, people always want to see action. So they dealt all the cards out. They don't want to wait around. I like it better to wait around and make it more special when it does come. You do get a flush. But yeah, they dealt all the cards out. So, you know, if there's a boat out there, someone definitely has the high boat. And even dealing all the cards out, though, you would not see that many straight flushes or 4 of a kind. They were kind of rare. But yeah, no, I played many hours of poker.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, the reason I asked.
Still, I might be able to work with it.
The reason I asked is because your voice does change when you talk about Northern Neck. Like when if you're talking about something else and then we bring that subject up, your voice changes, man. So I know it was a very serious time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's funny. I never even realized that. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I'm shook. Yeah, it was a tough time in my life. And, you know, thank you guys so much for standing by and getting us out of there. And what's the status on Northern Neck and the happenings over there?
I don't have any news to update you with. There was a meeting this week that none of us got to. I don't think anybody was able to get over to it, but we're going to definitely be keeping an eye on things and coming back in. There's going to be, I think, class action lawsuits that are going to happen. So I know you guys are probably going to be part of all of that. And
we're working.
How would I find out about that?
Tell them here.
Yeah.
Hey, John Haynes is here tonight too with us, and so he's going to say something.
Yeah, James. This
Awesome. How you doing, John?
Good. How you been? That was a rhetorical question. Anyway, James, as far as the Northern Neck, I think you know Ted Hull is gone, and also the member of the board that was more or less the founding member. They were the 2 main drivers in all these abuses. The new lady does not seem to be nearly as bad, but that does not excuse all the previous misdeeds. I recently filed a FOIA request with them, And normally they're pretty compliant, but they're trying to fight me on this. And I'm considering taking them to court. And this is something I'm going to be bringing up with the Northern Neck Patriots. It's pretty specific, but I've researched it. And I know that you are getting ready to go to law school yourself. That you're conversant in that type of thing. But anyway, we're fighting them now over a FOIA situation. And I can tell you this much, it regards Ryan Samsel. I don't want to give any specifics. But what we're seeking, if we can get it, it's the last piece of the puzzle. And it's going to really bring about some pretty major revelations. And the big key behind all this, James, is to discover things that other people can use also. Because as you know, if you can demonstrate that this is a pattern and a practice, that they normally treat people that way, it can have quite an effect, especially on the appellate process, when they get into all these civil claims. So anyway, just to sum up, we do have some things working on the legal sense, and I think that there's a good chance that it's going to prove very helpful.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you for everything you do. Of course, John Haynes of the Sentinel. Yeah, that is so cool, and it was so cool to be in that before, so thank you. I didn't catch that about, what was that, about Samsel?
Well, it's the information that he's asking about has to do with Samsel's treatment.
Right.
Okay, yeah, he hasn't been here for quite some time.
Right.
I've heard he's in New York City.
Yeah.
And,
Brooklyn.
yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, well, this is related to the beating that he suffered. And I have located at least one eyewitness, and I'm working on a couple whistleblowers. But this is specifically, I guess I can tell you this much because I've already related to the jail.
Just as long as you want to be out on the internet, that's the question.
Yeah, I think this is, I've already written about this, alluded to it, so I don't think it's brand new. But basically, it's very questionable how he was transported to the medical facility where he got treatment. Because if you'll remember, I have a tape recording where they're claiming that he's just fine, that he suffered no injuries whatsoever. But he was transferred, and now one of the reporters for Gateway Pundit has secured his medical records. So the last link is to prove that he was illegally transported, and that's what we're working on now, without getting more specific.
Getting transported where?
To the emergency room.
To the emergency room in Tappahannock, Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very strict about transport, and I'll just put it this way. He was transported in a way to try to make it impossible to prove what happened, but we're getting ready to crack that nut.
He's getting ready to be sent here?
I'm sorry, what?
I don't think he could hear John very well. He just.
Yeah, John, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's my microphone, but I'm getting bad feedback. I can, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to hear.
We probably don't need this microphone when we were talking. He's sitting further away, but he's basically saying it has to do with how he was transported to the hospital.
You have 1 minute remaining.
So we'll talk more about that later.
No, I was getting really bad feedback. I apologize for that. I don't know, maybe the shoddy. I did buy new headphones, so maybe that'll fix it. But man, I just my hopes for this Trump hush money trial is that when he beats all these, and he should if the jury's fair, is at that point you have to drop all the rest of the charges. So again, yeah, they can kind of get into that. I'll call you guys next week and get into all that. But as always, great to talk to you guys, Tom, John Haynes. Thank you guys for all the work you guys do. And GiveSendGo.com/freejames if you want to donate. And again, thank you for your guys' support. Really pushing the blow. And really, it's made our time a lot easier. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone.
Glad to hear it. Thank you. God bless you, James.
God bless you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
We beat Gertie.
Yeah, and the timing of the calls is pretty good. If they wait a few minutes,
yeah, we can actually say stuff.
We can get in.
8:45, yeah. Don't answer the phone for 5 minutes.
You guys probably know this, but James was getting ready to go into law school when he was arrested.
Yeah.
He said,
Wow. A few weeks back, He was telling us about his case with one certain pieces, and it was like you could almost see the light in his face coming through the phone because he was seriously excited about it. At least that was my take.
He did better than most of them, no doubt.
Yeah, he did.
He had some bad luck. He was on some type of medication, and he drove somewhere, and they stopped him. And he originally claimed it was a DUI, then they eventually figured out it wasn't alcohol, it was a prescription that he had. But I guess technically, he shouldn't have been driving, and that was a pretty major enhancement, so he had a little bad luck on top of everything.
Yeah.
All right, I want to give a shout out for my shirt again. This is something I got at the CPAC conference. Can you see it in here? Is it showing up all right? All right. So the name of this artist is Vanessa Orabuena. Back up a little bit.
Yeah, there you
Yeah. Vanessa Orabuena, and that's the last name is Horabuena. So Vanessa Orabuena, you can look her up. She's amazing. She's a performance artist. She paints to music, and she moves around, and she's just getting into the groove, and she's painting the whole time, and she's just creating these. A lot of them are eagles, obviously, and flags and that kind of stuff. So she has some really great stuff.
You want to show them that?
Yeah, we can put that up.
That headline's huge.
Yeah. So this was the article that John had mentioned before from Epic Times, and that was in the April 17th to 23rd edition. And this is a photograph in front of the Supreme Court. Several of us tried to get into the hearing, and I missed getting in by about 11 people. But I got to stand outside with the rest of the protesters and bring light to what was going on and talk to people. So that's Mickey Withoff and the other gang that's at the Capitol. I'm over here.
Jen Baker.
Jen Baker, yeah, let's give them. So Tammy Perryman, Sherry Hafner, Mickey Withoff, Jen Baker's there. Huh?
Where's Nicole? I didn't see her in there.
Nicole's not. Nicole was inside. Nicole was inside. So when Nicole came out, there was a little hooting and hollering, and I went over to cover that with my GoPro or my camera. And these ladies were asking me, what's going on here? What's going on? What's this? And I said, are you familiar with January 6th? And they were somewhat familiar, but I gave them a really brief elevator pitch, of the fact that there's over 1,350 people detained, and they're still arresting people, and the charges and so on. And they got it. They understood it. In fact, it was really cool. So, yeah, that was a fun thing. I always tell people, go to Washington, D.C. and witness what's going on in your government. It's so easy. Going to a congressional hearing is easy. I went to one that was the whistleblowers from the National Guard, and that was some compelling testimony. We've talked about it in here, but that's huge. And all of that testimony was not looked at by the January 6th, the original January 6th Select Committee, the Unselect Committee. They refused to interview any one of those guys, but they had their they had their information, but they would not bring them forth because it didn't fit their narrative.
Right.
So
that in and of itself is illegal.
And they caught one of the generals flat out lying.
Right. One of the generals lied. Yeah. And the guy told him, he said, he's my friend, but I have to correct the record here. That's a tough call to make, but I guess you got to make it sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, that's the great thing with whistleblowers. Once one brave person steps forward, it encourages others. And it's the whistleblowers in several different fronts now are starting to come forward.
Well, yeah.
I'm looking for it right now, but and I may not find it, and it might not be reasonable for me to sit here and continue to scroll through my phone. But a few days back, there was an article at the Epic Times about the findings of what's been shown in just the first 20,000 hours. And basically, the J6 committee, the original one, they're a bunch of criminals. They hired a Hollywood producer to put on a show, and that's exactly what it was. It was a fictional show. And I can't really even remember all of the things that are refuted, but they've got it on video where they make this claim and yet on video it doesn't support it, and it's completely the opposite. It's all over, yeah.
He wasn't even where he said he was when he claimed
Exactly.
all this stuff happened.
Yeah, and this, total of 40,000 hours is just gonna destroy them. The whole narrative is coming unraveled.
Well, that's why they were picking and choosing the same
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes.
They were cherry picking all of the scenes. In fact, they were making some of them up. They were just picking an arbitrary scene and saying, this is what's going on here.
Well, we know that.
And
We're there.
yeah, no, it's not. So it's kind of crazy. But it's good, even in the face of all the madness that's going on, because like right now, you know, we've got Israel, we've got Ukraine, and we've got protesters, and I always wake up every morning saying, okay, what are we not looking at?
Yes, them.
What are we not, exactly, it's
Them.
them. Yeah, so, you know, if I can find it before we get out of here, I'll mention it and give some more specifics. But 20,000 hours basically shows that everything that the mainstream media reported is a lie.
I just wanted to make sure I hadn't pulled it up. But I also didn't have this David Keatson. He looks really young.
All right, so there's been some kind of confusion or discussion, even amongst the Patriots here, about, all right, we'll read the list later then if we have time.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, your current balance is $77.89. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hey y'all, it's Craig again, and I just wanted to set my boy up here. Big Dog Tate, the barber of C3A. By the way, I don't have a mustache anymore. Tate has nothing to do with that. It was a self-mutilation. So, but anyway, the barber of C3A, the Patriot barber himself, Big Tate.
Was it gender affirming surgery?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hey.
Hey.
Hello? Hello?
Curtis?
Hello? Oh, there you go. There you are. How's it going, everybody?
Hi.
Good. Who's there?
Is that Curtis?
Yeah, this is Tate.
Yeah.
Tate.
That's what we thought. We
Curtis Tate.
just want to make sure, man.
Curtis Tate.
He was calling you Big Dog.
Yeah, quite.
How'd you get the Big Dog?
Yeah, big. So a buddy of mine on the outside of here used to walk around. Me and him ran together and worked out together and stuff like that. And he'd always come through and holler, "Big Dog." And so I kind of took that over whenever I got here, and I started hollering down the pod at Flag. I'd be like, "Big Dog," and he kind of stuck with him, so he calls me that now.
Yeah.
Cool. We're both big dogs, so it depends on who you're talking to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. How's everything going on that end of the world?
It's going good.
What's
It's going
going
good.
on with those northern?
Yeah, we're fired up. We got a meeting next week. We got an excellent speaker coming in. His name is Kurt Muse, M-U-S-E, and he was a prisoner in Noriega's prison in Panama back in the 80s. And he was the guy that, he's famous, he's written a book or two about it, and there's several movies about it, but what was it, 6 seconds to 12
6 minutes to freedom.
6 minutes to freedom, thank you, John, is the name of the book. And this was a really highly organized special op to get him, get troops in there, lightly armored, fly him in on the rooftops on the prison, drop him inside and go and get him, safe, and get him out, and they did.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool.
Wow. So he's coming up to speak at, just for the vigil, or what would he be speaking at?
He's speaking at the Northern Neck Patriots monthly meeting. So we have really great speakers that come in here quite a bit, and he's on this docket for this time. And he'll probably talk about that experience because he can't help it, you know, because that's part of who he is. It's just an amazing story, right?
Yeah.
But like you won't be able to not talk about J6 when you're sitting around with a group of people in the future, right? Because it's part of who you are at this point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a massive part of my story and testimony, and, you know, walk out of here. Especially with however this election goes, it's going to be exciting nonetheless.
Right.
Trump gets in. Hopefully, we've got pardons coming our way, and a better outlook, at least for 4 years. If he does not get in, well, we will be doing our census, and hopefully, we will see patriots rising up around the country for support and for you know, for unity and for togetherness during the times that'll transpire from then on out. Either way, it's definitely going to have everybody on the tip of their toes, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I absolutely agree. It's a big deal.
I'm reading this book right now. It is. I'm reading this book right now. It's called Atlas Shrugged.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you read it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Who is John Galt?
Yeah. Who is John Galt? Yeah. It is, people have talked about it quite often, actually, and finally got into it. It's a very exciting book. Can't put it down. The comparisons are pretty, you know, frightening to what's going on current day. And I know it's a much older book, but just how much like it relates to what's going on right now is astonishing.
Yeah, absolutely is.
You know, that's an interesting point. There's an awful lot of books out there that were written decades and some even centuries ago that mirror exactly what's going on today. And it's amazing how prophetic they are from that far back.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just because it's kind of the same, you know, try, rinse, repeat method that's been going on. Liberalism, I mean, this isn't a new thing. I mean, if you look at the fall of the Roman Empire, and this isn't from my own studies or anything like that, it's from talking to more educated friends of mine outside of here, but, you know, they talk about how a lot of gender dysphoria went into, among other things, a big chunk of it was gender dysphoria that went to the fall of the Roman Empire. Right. And,
they actually had a lot of that happening back just prior to World War I.
Right. Yeah, you know, and it's the same method. And, you know, through the 60s and 70s and 80s, it wasn't really so much transgenderism, you know, and current issues, but now it was, you know, free love, and just living more, you know, raised Christian values and stuff like that. And, you know, now we're kind of back at the same place. So, anyway, we're about to sing the anthem. So,
yeah,
we're
we're
going to
ready.
sing that, and I'll be off with you all, but thank you for talking to me, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tate.
All right, guys. Love y'all.
Bye.
Love you, bro.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so
available towing.
And it ends just in
That's
time.
perfect. I like
That
this.
is absolutely
Quick ending.
perfect. That never happens.
Yeah.
That never happens. How you doing, man?
Doing good. How about
You're
y'all?
late.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
But we're here.
See ya.
Good, thank you.
Spring
I was
sprung,
listening
the garden
to,
started going soft, getting a little bit of spiritual uplifting going
what's the
on.
guy's
Thanks,
name
everybody.
that's up
Good
in,
night. Love you.
New York? What's the guy's that in New York that he's in solitary confinement?
Samsel? No, wait.